into the darkness.
7 on Castle Rock, and that's Harvest Home from the album The Crossing from Big Country, and it's my pleasure to say welcome to Bruce, Stuart, Tony, and indeed Mark of the band live here in Trent Towers.
Hello.
Fellas,
Hello.
Well, the certain success that you've had means that not only more people listening to you, but watching you. You've got a film crew with you tonight. What exactly are they doing around here?
What it is it's the Channel 4 crew who are with us. We're doing an hour special. And what it is to show the basics and what goes on actually behind the scenes on a tour and why it does cost the amount of money it does to get in, right from record company level right through to the group.
here we are, the lads. This is us at Phonogram. We're now actually going into the A&R department here to see our A&R guy, Chris Briggs. Chris is actually the guy who signed us up, and it's him that puts the money up for us going on tour. In other words, he's the man who puts the record company's money where our mouths are.
Hello there, Chris. Chris Briggs, head of A&R, Phonogram Records. It's generally considered that A&R people are sort of run record companies. Can you sort of explain what your job's about?
Well, you want me to explain what an A&R man does?
Yes.
In shortest answers, I'm involved in every aspect of the group's career up until the point where salespeople get involved. So I will probably have found the group, be involved with making the record, work with the manager, run the creative end of it without wishing to sound too pretentious about it.
So what part do you play in the setting up of a tour like yours?
I suppose in a way, it depends at what stage the band are at. I mean, at the very early stages, I suppose I'm like the bank. You know, is that you get paid at the end of a tour, and it costs a certain amount of money to set it up. You have to pay PA companies in advance, and trucking companies in advance, and I sort of lend the group the money, you know, in varying proportions, so they can go on the road until they can, you know, until they can earn it.
Well, Ian Grant, our manager, can you explain your job, please?
In one line, one sentence. My job is to oversee the everybody that works for the band, be it the record company, be it the crew that we take on, etc., etc., and to further your career, make you very successful and lots of money, as they say.
Who makes the decisions about setting up a tour of this sort of stature up, especially so far in advance?
I guess I make the decision at the end of the day, but in cooperation with Chris Briggs, Bob Fisher in marketing, and the man that books it, John Giddings. I mean, I have to go by his guidance a lot of the time because he knows how the market is, he knows how other acts are doing.
Well, this is John Giddings, our agent, and can you tell us what part you play in the tour?
Well, basically what I do for you is organise the routing of your gigs around the world. I mean, what we do is sit down between the management, record company and agency and decide to coincide with your record releases in which countries you're going to play at any given time and how many shows you're going to play and what also, more importantly, what level of show you're going to play. Whether it's going to be a club or a concert hall, obviously.
So the level of shows decided between yourself and Ian, say?
Well, it's decided on the basis of how well we think the product is going to do, because we have to predict it ahead. We can't tell 3 months ahead that your single is going to be in the top 20. We just pray to God it's going to be. It's the 4th British tour we've done this year.
Yep.
You know, we're on the verge of overexposing ourselves, but what I wanted to do was to put the icing on the cake, get you to a concert level, so we had the base in England, and we could then go abroad, knowing that we could come back to England in the future. You haven't got to tour England now for a long while.
When you put the tour together, who decides, you know, how many dates? Do you decide? Or does it
combination between me and Ian. It has to be how many dates we think you can do without killing you, covering the market properly, and also how many days you can have off, obviously, because you can't do 7 nights on the trot, else you lose your voice, and we have to cancel 3 gigs in between. You have to know the demands each group has. Like the Stranglers can work 25 gigs in a row, because that's the way they like to work, because they don't lose their voices. But you guys have to have, like, 3 on, day off, 4 on, day off.
It's great.
But you keep doing all this other stuff in between. You're meant to have days off, you see.
So who works out the ticket price?
I work out the ticket price.
And how's that done?
I decide it on the basis of your level of success and what other groups are charging across the board.
So that comes with just with comparing other people's situations and taking...
Yeah, I mean, it obviously has to be thought about very carefully in terms of what age of audience is buying your records, how much they can afford to pay to come and see you.
Yeah.
Like the Kid Creole and the Coconuts, we charge a £6 ticket price because their audience are between 25 upwards. But when you've got kids of 13, 14 buying your singles, to go above £4.50, £3.50 in the provinces, at this level of success, I think, is pushing it. I think our ticket prices are right at this time.
And do you take on bands that you don't expect to make a profit on?
Not all, no, you always do a band, and at the very least you hope to break even. You can't afford in this climate to take on a band and lose money, because there's not the money around to be made.
What other parts of the organisation of a gig like where we are today, what other parts are you involved with?
Well, everything from press advertising, printing the posters, getting them stuck up, ordering the humpers, sorting the catering out, everything really. You have a hand in every little bit, because if anything goes wrong, it's always the promoter that carries the can.
Carries the can. There are other costs: security, theatre staff, small items such as dry ice, performing rights. That and the cost of printing the tickets all mounts up. Then there's the cost of hiring the halls, which can come to £30,000 and over on a whole tour. These figures are taken before the band or the promoter have made any profit on the gig.
From him. How much do you expect to make on this tour?
Well, I don't know, about £3,000 or £4,000, I suppose.
Yeah? And is that like an average somewhere?
That's about average, yeah.
Does that mean you make it personally?
No, it
How's
doesn't.
that split up? How much do you see at the end of that?
What, me personally?
Yeah.
£200 a week. No, I get a percentage of the profits, but that just goes into the company. I mean, you don't actually, although you make £4,000, you don't actually get £4,000 cash in your hand. It's the same way if you make a profit on the tour, it's not divided up between the four of you.
No, that's true.
As with this tour, we're actually going to make a small profit, so at the end of the day, it's a gamble. I mean, if you remember, when we put this tour in, the other tour hadn't even started, so...
So we make a profit. Where does the money go?
It goes into your overall, in the bin. I mean...
In that case, then, how do you make your wages?
Good question. Well, we take our commission comes off the top. Our wages come out, I mean, I guess, from the bank at the moment, from overdraft facilities. Once the first royalty cheque comes in, apart from the fact you'll get obviously some money, we will claim back monies that we've advanced you. I mean, we've been, as well as the record company funding you over last year, the management company's funded you as well.
How much is your commission, Ian?
Our commission is 20%. Yeah. And then agency commission, which they take a commission only on the gig income, not on merchandise or anything else. That's 10%.
So how do you earn a living then, John?
How do I earn a living?
Yes.
What I do is I represent a number of groups and I book tours for them and I organise their fee and I take a commission on their fee of 10%.
What is that, on gross or on...
On your gross fee, yeah, and your percentage.
So can you explain to us what this percentage thing is then, John?
OK, so you're playing Birmingham Odeon and you're charging £4.50 and £3.50. Then you work out the gross of the hall, which is approximately £10,000. You then net off VAT, which is going to leave you about 8.6. You then take off that all the expenses it costs to promote the show. The hall will take a 30% rental. It costs money to print the posters, to do all the catering, to get the security guys in, and that leaves a net amount of money with which to play with. That gets split between the group and the promoter.
A band on tour has a guaranteed fee for each gig. Once they go above a certain figure in ticket sales, which has been agreed before the tour, they get a bit of icing on the cake. It's this money which is an important factor in whether or not a tour makes any money. Another source of funding is in the contribution paid by the support band, in this case, One the Juggler.
How did One the Juggler get to be on this tour?
Well, the band liked us, Big Country, and we bought one. You have to buy one, there's a buy-on fee. The fee being, how much is it?
Well, 3,500. But we've had about another 2,500, 3,000 expenses on top of that for hotels and van hire and all that sort of stuff. So it's about 6 or 7 grand in all.
And where does that money come from?
Well, the record company underwrite it, but I mean it's recuperable through record sales. So we've now got to sell loads and loads of it over it.
I hope this reaches you the same way it leaves us. It's real, man. The storm.
A lot of people that come to gigs may want to go home with something bearing the group's name, like a T-shirt, badge, poster, a programme, whatever. We try and make this available at reasonable prices and good quality. It looks like a lot of people at our gigs want to buy this sort of stuff, and sometimes we've had turnovers of over £5,000 a night on this sort of gear.
Ah, there's Bob rolling up the multi-core. Bob, he does the basses. This is John. This is the guy that does the monitors on stage. This is so we can hear what we're doing. Ah, the dreaded Les on Mark's drum kit. It can't be a very good life, actually, for some of these guys because they work about 15-hour day, all the roadies and that. They're good-spirited lads, though, you know. It's a hard job, though. There's Nick. This is the guy who sets up the PA. Peter the monkey on the lighting rig. These are the humpers. These are the guys that are hired in, like, every day by the promoters. There's Sheds, young Callum. Now, this is Bob pretending he's in charge.
Single water for Igor.
It's Sheds, Sandra, Stuart, Callum. Callum doing a Sheds impersonation there. There's Callum being a roadie. Ah, this is our backdrop being folded up. Light and truss. This gig was actually done at Nottingham. It's a good venue, like, it's got good facilities for the road crew. The getting's quite easy. Get out's quite easy as well. And there we go, the end of another night.
Everyone on the tour has different jobs to do, and they're all vital to the tour. So it's necessary to have one person to oversee the whole thing. That's Jeff Trump, our tour manager, and his job is to make sure that the day-to-day business of the tour runs smoothly. He pays the hotel bills, collects the money after the gig, makes sure that we get to the radio interviews, drives the band's bus and sorts out any problems which may arise on the tour. I mean, hopefully there's never that many. Oh, this is Tony. You can see he's just rolled out of bed.
Hello. What are you up to then? Have you ever seen anybody fumbling through their pockets to look for the rumours all the time?
When the workers are putting up the gear, we're normally on the road, heading for the next town. Sometimes we'd drop in at a local radio station to do an interview. And then we'd go to the hotel to get a couple of hours sleep, or sometimes we might even get some food.
We've actually got like a permanent staff, about 4 or 5 guys. But these ones we hire in for like different tours, depending on what we need.
Hi, Sheds.
Hi, Stuart.
Well, I just want you to tell me this, Sheds, because when I used to go to gigs a lot when I was younger, you'd come wandering through the door, right, watching your ticket and your programme, come wandering up past all this and something that looks like Mission Control for NASA. So can you just tell us a wee bit about what it's offered?
Yeah, I had the same problem when I was young. Right, it's very simple. Basically, I mean, it's very simple when you look at just one piece here, right, okay? Forget the rest, just look at one. All you have is your level in, all right? Which is the amount of signal, say if you're playing a guitar, just like an amplifier, that you've got going into it. And you can just adjust that so that it doesn't distort. And then these here are your little tone controls. And it just, again, you just got bass, middle and treble. And then you just got effects routing, and this takes me up, brings it up to any of these. So I can bring all the drums up on one pair of, we call them faders. They're just like volume control on a stereo.
So you just got like 5 or 6 faders on here going into a couple
yeah.
up here.
Like all the drums, so that's as you see there, all the drums, they will all come up onto the kit, and the whole thing is just controlled by those two.
So that's actually what? How many microphones on the drum kit?
On that, I think it's 16 on the kit.
16 microphones on the kit?
On this one. It happens to play a big kit.
Yeah.
Les! Fuck him up, come to my office.
This can be replaced Friday.
Oh, as long as you don't mean me.
No. Can I have this?
Yeah, it's going, isn't it?
Cymbals are a really expensive thing, so to have a deal like we have is quite good. Like a kink like this, instead of paying the 60 or 70 pounds to buy one, we just take it back to Pasty and they give us one. It looks big. It is big.
But he also does guitars as well. I think you want to speak to Bruce.
Bruce? Oh, no. Large amounts of grief. What about this guitar then? What have you done to it?
Well, basically, see, it's a whole new thing, right? Bruce is a very bashik guitarist.
Bashik, so what?
Oh, he thumps the guitar, which makes maintenance of any of Bruce's guitar more like gardening, really.
This is Pete Barnes from Chameleon Lighting. So, Pete, for people who have seen the gig, like we've got the moon, the stars come out, the clouds move, and the sea moves. How does that actually work? If you can try and give us an explanation.
Demonstration. I've basically got some lights that just generally colour the actual sky part of the backdrop. And then we've got these projectors here, which actually sort of give you the clouds, and then give you the water on top of that. And we've got some lights that just light up either the front part of the backdrop or just the mountains.
So you're actually using lights to the front and to the back as well?
Yeah, we're lighting up both the actual backdrop itself and then rear projecting onto the screen to give the moving effects, such as the clouds. We're using quite a few ray lights, which are very tight beam lights, which we use on the sequence, like the one behind your drum kit.
Yeah.
And then the one sort of either side behind the amplifiers.
All right.
And actually, there's quite a few different types of lighting just generally used in it. And just the rest of the lighting for the show is quite just trying to keep it in time. I like to concentrate a lot on keeping the actual timing of the cues very accurate.
Yeah.
Because you find a lot of songs, like Inwards, for example, I'm not watching anything else apart from you, and every time that you go to move your hands, I know you're going to do a fill or something, so I just try and make sure that I get the cue the same time as you do.
Ian, can you get me a towel?
Harvest Home. How many sheets are done? How did the Thank you. Thanks, John, that was really sneaky. This is my wee boy, Cal. I think his attitude to music is probably the right thing. But everything's absolutely amazing to him. And this is bloody amazing to us, I'll tell you what. It's called In a Big Country. you. I'll tell you something. Rather than Bruce, Mark, Tony and myself, we'd like to say thanks very much for the chance to share our songs with you all. Thank you. Cheers. I'll see you soon.
Give them a bit of room so we get Stuart out of there.
Stuart!
Check everything.
Maria!
Santa Maria, vieni up here. Cheers, thanks for coming.
This isn't yours, by the way, is it? Whose is this? Great. You getting all right?
Oi!
If you get an illusion, if the crowd is swaying, you see, the stage looks as if it moves.
Yes, indeed. I mean,
either that or you've been drinking.
Gone to the darkness.